Let's stay with this. Police still hunting, they say, for 5 attackers who burst into that tavern and killed 15 people in that hail of at least 137 bullets over the weekend. 9 others were wounded in the early hours of Sunday morning. And of course, other shootings occurred in Pietermaritzburg and Joburg at taverns. To discuss, we're joined by crime analyst Dr. Chris de Kock. We're also joined by the Joburg MMC for Public Safety Chief of Staff, Brutus Malada. Let me start with you, Dr. de Kock. It's not clear about the motive. We were just talking to our reporter, but there was this incredible amount of bullets. They had to reload because of the number. The minister saying they would have had to reload in the middle of the slaughter. What does that tell you about this crime, if anything?
Well, good afternoon. And no, it tells me that it is exceptionally brutal, and that the aim was to kill everybody in that tavern. Those who didn't hide were killed. I read this morning that the eyewitness who was hiding under a snooker table said that this guy with the AK-47 came in first, and he literally sprayed the tavern. And then afterwards, other guys came in with 9 mils, and they finished off some of the people who were not already dead. Now, that is very brutal. And it seems that they want to send a message that they, we had this strange thing of Qatar saying that these are terror attacks, which is nonsense. I don't think it's terror attacks, but it have the modus operandi of a terror attack. If you send in people doing that kind of damage, killing people in that way, it is there to send a message to either the manager or the boss of the tavern, or to send a message to a certain group of people, or we have just heard one of the explanations is maybe it was to kill 1 or 2 people in the tavern, but now everybody around is also killed. But there's something wrong in South Africa for the last year. I did some calculations in the last month. I actually worked out the murder figure for 2021 and 2022. And I can tell you 2 things. The first one is that our murder figure have now reached a point where I've never seen in my life the increase in murders that I've seen in 21-22 compared to the year before COVID. That is absolutely exceptional. It's a 2-digit figure of 16.6%.
Sure.
And I've never seen it, not in the 25 years of democracy and even before that. I don't know. It seems people become more brutal, and they use for high caliber firearms, like submachine gun, actually, basically, AK-47.
Yeah. We'll speak about AK-47s because it shouldn't be easy to get hold of one in South Africa. But firstly, Mr. Malada, people were trying to send a message to the police minister today, concerned about police visibility on the ground, also issues of how dark it is. And then our reporter witnessed a crime, a stabbing there, and saying nobody was on the ground. Just tell us what you know about that area. And is this all up to the SAPs? What is the involvement of the city of Johannesburg? What involvement should there be? How should everybody work together?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, one would like to acknowledge that this is a brutal tragedy. And I would like to, on behalf of the MMC for Public Safety, Councillor David Tembe, pass a message of condolences to the families that lost their loved ones. What happened should never happen to anyone. But I've made an observation. I was there today when the police minister and the mayor were briefing and taking the concerns of the public. I made an observation that there were hundreds of people, able-bodied men and women, who at 10 o'clock were gathered to listen to the minister and the mayor. That tells us another tragedy in South Africa, a tragedy of joblessness. And that area is riddled by high unemployment and the lack of amenities. These kind of issues do contribute to instability in an area such as that. Now, what we, as the City of Johannesburg and as the MMC for Public Safety have committed to do is that we are intensifying our Wiam-Teto operation. We are collaborating with the SABC, and as of today, we have committed the deployment of 72 Metro Police officers who will be on the ground. They are going to do the following things. They are going to ensure compliance with our bylaws. We have a serious problem of unlicensed operators, such as taverns, that are not licensed. So we are bringing together a multidisciplinary team of EMS, emergency management services, to check compliance with our bylaws, as well as environmental health officers from the City of Johannesburg. They will be part of the team working with our 72 police, Metro Police, that will be on the ground starting from today. They will conduct operations.
Can I just clarify? So you say starting from today, because our reporter witnessed a crime and said that no officers were there. When will they be on the ground?
The operational plan has been activated as we speak. As far as Metro Police are concerned, we are a force multiplier to SABC. So SABC takes a lead. This is what happens. The Johannesburg Metro Police is responsible for crime prevention, not for investigation and crime combating. They are not responsible for that. But now the scene has been taken over by the South African Police Service. The deployment that the minister has mentioned will be enhanced with our 72 Metro Police officers that we are adding. So they must take the cue from SABC as to the kind of operations. But for us, what would be of priority is to ensure that there is compliance with our bylaws. Hence, I am mentioning the involvement of our EMS and the involvement of environmental health officers from the City of Johannesburg.
All right, so maybe that wouldn't have made a difference here, but it would in other cases in East London. Huge concerns about the safety, about the fact that people could only get out with one door, etc. Thank you, Mr. Malada. I'd like to throw something to the doctor, please, because we were talking about AK-47s. Who is allowed to access AK-47s in South Africa? We know there's a black market. Where could guns like that come from?
Well, you know, I think basically, strictly speaking, nobody is allowed to have AK-47s. You may find some in some stores of the police and in the defense force, but that type of weapon is not allowed in private as a private weapon. But I mean, AK-47s originally come from the days that we had the liberation struggle in South Africa. And there may still be, I don't think even caches today, but there were caches after 1995. And some of those weapons then landed in criminal hands. It's not actually a weapon which is used very often anymore in CIT robberies. In CIT robberies these days, you find that they use R4s and R5s because it's more effective against CIT armored vehicles than the AK-47. The armor piercing of R4, R5 are much better. But you still find sometimes in a CIT they will use an AK-47 and an R4 or an R5.
Yeah.
So these hit squads, they will have some of these, but it's illegal weapons. It's not licensed weapons.
And how easy to access them on the black market?
Well, I think it's quite easy, and you can buy it. There's a price for it, but you will get it. And also, what you can do is some of these weapons are being rented out. So it's not a weapon which is used by the same gang or by the same person all the time. Somebody will go and rent a firearm. And then after you use the firearm, he will take it back. And next time, this firearm may pitch up in Cape Town, in a hit in Cape Town, or a hit in Durban, or East London, whatever the case may be.
Sure, Renton AK-47. Thank you, both gentlemen. We'll have to leave it there. That was crime analyst Dr. Chris de Kock, and also the Joburg MMC for Public Safety Chief of Staff Brutus Malada.